The story is told of a man and a woman one day who were walking through the forest. And suddenly a bear jolted out of the brush and started charging them. The woman immediately dropped down and started lacing on some running shoes. And the man looked at her and he said, "There's no way you're going to outrun that bear." And she said, "I don't have to outrun the bear. I just have to outrun you." And that becomes a premise that I'd like to share today called, "Don't get eaten by the bear." See, as you move forward in your careers, and by the way, I would just like to say how privileged, lucky you are that you are working for an organization that has decided that helping you be good workers now isn't good enough, but that they need to prepare you for your future careers. Now, the library recognizes very few of you grew up and want to be a librarian. Is that safe to say? And so you're all studying for something else. But they recognize there are skills that they could give, and that's why they asked me to come and talk to you about your future career. One of the things that I talk about is how to earn the biggest raise and get the best promotions. Now, how many of you in your career in the future are looking forward to the biggest raise the company gives? Raise your hand. How many of you would like that? How many of you would like to get the best promotions that get you where you will find your joy? Raise your hand. Okay, that's what we're going to talk about, is a method to do that. Now, in 25 minutes I can't cover all of it. But I am going to give you a basic framework, and we're going to focus on one thing. In order to get the biggest raises and the best promotions, you have to do three things. You have to do the job they want done and more. You have to fit into the organization, and you have to communicate your return on investment. Now, when you go out and you start your careers, your return on investment is going to be pretty small, maybe 2 or 3 times what they pay you. They pay you $50,000, they're going to expect you to either make or save them how much at a 3-time return on investment? $150,000. 50 times 3 is $150,000. Companies no longer can afford to keep employees who just do activities. That day has passed, and you know it. And so what they're going to expect, and the more you move up, the more that increases. How many in here are planning on going into marketing or sales? Raise your hand if you're going into marketing or sales. I have some good news, I have some bad news. The bad news is that in sales, the return on investment is 20 to 1. You make $200,000, they expect you to generate $4 million in profits. Why? Because nobody gets paid until the stuff sells, right? So the salesman, you're generating the income for everyone else in the company, and that's why you're 20 to 1. Do you understand this concept? And so you have to communicate that to the people you work with. So the three things are, first, you have to do the job they want and more. Second, you have to fit into the
organization.
And third, you have to communicate your... Try it again. I think you're a little still sleeping. You're used to this being the devotional hour. Okay? First, you have to do the job and
more.
Second, you have to
fit into the organization.
Third, communicate your return on investment. Now, in those, I am going to talk about 2 of those that are one principle. The principle is be a work grabber. Be a work grabber, and they will impact your doing the job they want and more, and fitting into the organization. Now, when you fit into the organization, how many want to fit in with the people who are being respected and accepted and moving up? Raise your hand if you want to fit into that crowd. How many of you want to fit into the crowd that is considered non-productive, going nowhere, and we really wish you would leave, thank you very much? Didn't think so. We're going to do a real quick survey, okay? How many of you watched before it went really bad? The Office. Okay, we're going to do a quick vote. You remember when Michael left? We're going to ask who you felt deserved the promotion. Now, it's really tough with that crowd, isn't it? Okay, how many of you felt Creed deserved the promotion? Raise your hand if you felt Creed did. Yeah, we got 0. How many of you felt, this is really sad because, anyone want to guess who my children think I most relate to? No, Kevin. I got the look, right? And I think I'm about that right. How many of you think Kevin deserved the promotion? Angela. Dwight. Got a couple for Dwight. Good. You worked so hard. How many of you really think Andy deserved it? How many of you think Jim deserved it? It would have ruined the plot line, wouldn't it? Because it would have become a normal office and he'd have gotten all, yeah, so. How many think Pam deserved it? Yeah, see, we got some. Aaron? How many think they should have just canceled the show when Michael left? That's what I thought. Okay, now I'm going to ask a couple of questions. Why did you vote, those of you who voted for Jim, why did you vote for Jim? He's funny? Why else?
Fits in.
Say it louder.
Fits in.
He fits in. Why else?
He's responsible.
He's responsible. Any other reasons?
He's competent.
He's competent. Okay, those of you who voted for Dwight, why do you think Dwight deserved it? Someone said he just worked so hard for it. Okay, why else? He's inspiring. He subscribes to the Genghis Khan School of Leadership. Okay, why don't you think Dwight deserved it?
He was just like,
He doesn't fit in. Okay, someone said
he was disliked.
he's disliked. Is there any trust in him? No. Okay, I'm going to go to some quick ones. Why did you, it was a resounding silence on Creed. Now come on, Creed is one of the funniest characters in the whole show. How many of you wait for Creed to say something as you're watching the show? Because you know he is going to say something totally what? Creepy. Creed is creepy. Why doesn't he deserve? Why wasn't he even in your consideration? A, he's creepy. But so is Michael. Yes.
I don't think he knows that he's working there.
He doesn't know he's working there. Okay, why else? That really sums it up, doesn't it? Whenever you see Creed, what is Creed doing? He's doing something else, isn't he? And he's got that little screensaver he pops up to hide what he's really doing. So he's creepy, and he just doesn't do anything. I forgot to ask. This one always interests me. How many of you think Stanley deserved the promotion? Okay, why did we vote for Stanley?
Well, because I feel like he's one of the people that's really organized and is always on top of his game.
He is. He's always on top of his game. He's organized. There was a hand over here.
Yeah, I agree. He gets things done the way they should be, and he doesn't care if other people don't think he's doing it right. I don't know.
Exactly. He doesn't care what people think. He's just going to do what needs to be done.
Yeah.
Isn't he? Why didn't Stanley be someone you all voted for? Because does Stanley do anything extra? Stanley does the job exactly as it's asked, and what? He's out of there. Now, to tell you the truth, if I worked for Dunder Mifflin in the Scranton office, I'd be out of there too. I would do a lot of outside sales calls. That is the weirdest group of people I have ever seen. Except for the original British cast, which if you really want fun, go see the original British cast. Okay, so we've just done an analysis of business on why you voted for some people and why you didn't. Who got eaten by the bear in our discussion? Name the people who got eaten by the bear. Creed got eaten by the bear. Who else got eaten by the bear? Kevin got eaten by the bear. We won't even go why Kevin didn't get it because it's a little too personal. I break down the pride. Okay? Who else? Stanley. And do we have reasons why they got eaten by the bear? And they have to do with this concept of doing the job, fitting in, and communicating the ROI, the return on investment. So what we're going to do is we're going to have, I need 8 volunteers. Thank you. As you raise your hand, come on down. 8 of you stand up and come on down. Those of you who are, those of you who are doing this will be both embarrassed and get a reward. And it's a physical reward because I work for welfare, so we can't just do spiritual. We have spiritual. So I've got 2, 4, 5. I need 3 more. Come on down. 2 more. Thank you. I'll take this young lady and that young lady. You two can go ahead and have a seat. Now, just so that this is completely fair, and you cannot accuse me of rigging the game, I have to find, did someone steal my envelope? I have to find my envelope. Thank you, that's the envelope. Just so this is fair, each of you are going to reach in and you're going to pull out 1 sheet of paper. You'll then arrange yourselves in the chairs. 2 of you can lean against there according to the numbers on here. So it'll go like 1A, 1B. Thank you. Grab one. Go ahead. Thank you. Thank you. One start at that end. And that is the last one. Okay, so we've got 1A, 1B, 2A, 2B, 3A, 3B, 4A, and 4B you get to stand. But just so you don't have to stand the longest, I'll let you go first. Okay, now what they're going to do is they're going to read a situation. And you will then vote who gets the raise. This is normally golden, chocolate coins. But for Halloween, I just had to do the pumpkins. Is that okay? So who gets the raise and who gets eaten by the bear? Now the problem is, yeah, that's the problem. Everyone wants to be eaten by the bear when I pull this out. So who's 4A?
I work as a computer game
Hold it up
tester.
closer.
I work as a computer game tester. My job rocks because I get to test all the new games that our company will release. Imagine getting paid to play computer games. Some of the other testers like to take long lunch breaks. I don't really get that. I like what I'm doing so much that during breaks I visit the programmers to share more insight about what can make the games better.
I work for a company that embroiders team logos onto jackets, hats, and shirts. My spouse goes to school and gets off at noon on Fridays. I don't see why my boss won't let me leave early on Fridays. She makes it sound like I don't understand how the business works. It's not like I get that much more done in just 4 hours, and it would mean so much to my spouse to spend time together.
Okay. How many vote? Raise your hand. You. A. How many vote she got eaten by the bear? How many vote he got eaten by the bear? Congratulations. There you go. Give him a hand. Now the rest of you are sitting down, so I'm going to start at this end. Is that okay? And hold this close to your lips so that it can be heard. Okay, go. Oh, go ahead.
I work as an accounting clerk for a mid-sized company. I finish my work faster than any of the other clerks. While waiting for my next accounts or for payables or receivables, I like to text my friends to see what they are doing. I always stop when more work comes in, but my supervisor still gets on my case.
I'm a paralegal at a major law firm. My job allows me to research both easy but also very obscure legal cases that set precedent. I frequently finish my research before my attorneys have more work for me. I go to some of my coworkers and ask them if I can help them when that happens. They all appreciate my help. In fact, one of them thanked me with a plate of brownies.
Okay, who got eaten by the bear? He did? Okay, so you got the bear. This is really interesting. The men are getting the bears. Okay, thank you. You can go back to your seats and leave the paper in your bin. Give him a hand. Your turn.
I'm a receptionist for a dentist's office. Why's that funny?
They're sexist. Go ahead.
I greet the patients, enter their information, and send out billing invoices. I also call patients to remind them of upcoming appointments. I often have time between patients when there's nothing to do. I asked the dentist if I could use that time to call patients we have not seen for 2 years or more and invite them in for an appointment. My efforts increased our patient traffic by 23% and billings by $17,000 a month.
Did you hear that? Keep going, your turn.
I work as a sales associate for a national bookstore. I love my job because I love reading. Working with books allows me to see the latest publications from my favorite authors. In fact, I work really hard and fast so I can spend the rest of my time reading. When I have a few minutes, I like to sneak into a quiet corner, sit in a wingback chair, and spend time reading.
Who got eaten by the bear? She did. Okay, so let me see. I'll let you pick the color. Oh, and yes, I've got to get the yeah, you get the raise. By the way, increasing productivity by how much was it? 23%, or how much? Do you think the dentist will share part of that $17,000 with you? Actually, they do. It's really interesting. You generate additional income and they share it. Thank you very much. Give them a hand. And I'm sorry that you selected me when you did. I heard your, oh no. Go ahead.
My job involves being a receptionist for a company that manufactures health supplements and natural herbal remedies. I work at the main entrance to our offices, but people don't come in that often. My boss gives me additional work to keep me busy, but I still have a lot of free time in my hands. I spend a lot of time connecting with my friends on Facebook.
I am a customer service technician for a call center. I work the late night through early morning shift. We're supposed to support the Pacific Rim countries. It gets really slow from 1 to 2 a.m. We don't get many incoming calls at that time. I asked my boss what I could do to keep busy. He told me that I could review some of the new information to go into the knowledge base. I read them and give him my comments.
Who got eaten by the bear? You get
Oh, it's cute!
And give them a hand. Okay, you voted on who got eaten by the bear. What were the reasons you felt they got eaten? Why would you not promote them or give them a raise? Hand in the middle there.
Doing the bare minimum.
Oh, that was come down and get it later. I just saw this look of fear all over. Yes.
The people got eaten by the bear because they were doing personal things instead of things for their business, things for their boss. They were always like doing Facebook or texting their friends, their reading, their stuff.
Excellent. So they were focusing on them and they were doing theirs. What does that say to the company when that's your focus? Even if you're doing the bare minimum. What does that say to them?
It's just you don't care about the company and you're not worried about it.
You don't care about the company, you're not worried about them. Excellent. What else? These are good answers. Well done. Yes?
You're taking company time, like you're getting paid to do things your own personal way. That's not what you're hired to do. You're hired to stay busy and to make the company better.
Excellent. You are hired to do what the company needs to make the company better. Excellent. Any others? Yes? Maintaining a relationship with the management becomes very important, doesn't it? And that's that communicating return on investment. And that's what I would like to talk about right now. I once was teaching a workshop for people who were looking for jobs. And in the workshop, there was this gentleman who had received a layoff notice from Unisys. He hadn't left the company yet, but they were paying him to take a workshop to find a new job, and so he was doing that while he was still employed. And we got to the concept where we teach about power statements. Now, a power statement is the one you heard from the dentist assistant. What do you remember about what the dental receptionist did? What did she do or he do?
20%.
Call people. And what else do you remember? 23%. $17,000. Is that important to companies? And we teach people how to give those to management. Well, we had taught it, and he was writing his down, the whole class was writing, and it was really quiet. And all of a sudden, he threw his pencil down, and he just shouted out, embarrassed himself completely, but he just shouted out, "They are stupid to let me go. Look what I did for this company." Was he having some anger issues about being laid off? Yeah, he was. And he said, "Look what I did for this company." And one of the people in the class asked him, "Yes, but did you tell them?" And he said, "No, it's their job to notice when employees are doing well." And the class had a discussion. I just sat back and listened. It was fascinating. And they came to the same conclusion that I do. No, you cannot expect management to notice. Well, we broke for lunch, and he didn't come back from lunch. And that worried us. We thought he was, we'd really ticked him off. But the next morning he came back. And he said, I went to lunch and I was really upset, but the more I sat and had lunch, I thought about what you said. And I realized, yeah, it's partly my responsibility to tell them what I have done. And so I went back to work yesterday afternoon. And I met with my supervisor. And I said to my supervisor, "I know the layoffs have been announced, but I really think that you're making a mistake in letting me go. And let me share with you what I have done to help this company." And he gave his 6 power statements. The boss asked him some questions, asked him what he had done, explored deeper, and said, "Hold on a second." And he left the office. He came back about 15 minutes later and he said, "I just talked to Human Resources, and yes, you're off the layoff list. We had not realized what a valuable employee we were letting go." That man stayed with Unisys, and he was the one who literally blocked the door when they left Salt Lake the first time. Share another story. I had a friend who worked for an aerospace company. And he was very high in the aerospace company, as you will hear, because he got notice that he had to lay off 3,000 people. He laid off 6,000. And they asked him how he determined who he was going to lay off. And he said, "I started with the ones who could not do what they had told us they could do when we hired them. And I let all of them go. Then I went to all the ones who were consistently late, took extra long lunch hours, were leaving early, and were hanging around the water cooler most of the time. And I let them go. And then I took all of the ones who did not do the work, who just didn't do it. And when I had that total, I had twice as many as I had to lay off. But I realized how much I was spending in time, energy, and expertise to prop them up. And so I let all 6,000 go. And our productivity increased by 12% with that many people leaving, because the others weren't being slowed down by those 6,000. As you move into your career, as you move into what you want to do, remember these 3 things. You need to you need to first do the job they want done and more. You need to fit into the organization, and not the part of the organization that is Creed and Kevin and Angela. You need to fit in with Jim and Pam and try to get along with Dwight. And third, you need to communicate your return on investment. Each month, share with your supervisors something that you have done that increased productivity, that decreased turnaround time on books, that increased The people who felt comfortable and trusting coming to the reference desk. Communicate to your supervisors in numbers. Remember, it was the 23%, it was the 17,000 you remembered. And if you will communicate every month and write them down in a Google Doc, and then at the time that you have to do annual performance appraisals, now I don't know if you do them here, but you will get into business and you will have an annual performance review. And you know that side of the paper that says, what have you done this year? You just list all those power statements that you sent to them every month. And my experience has been, no matter what raise that company is giving, you will get the biggest one. And as they start looking for the promotions, you will not be Creed, you will not be Kevin, you will not be Angela. You will be the ones that they look to get the best assignments and the best promotions.